Hello everyone and welcome back to Fun Ahead TV. In today's episode, we are continuing to work on our new, to me, 2005 Porsche Boxster S to continue the diagnosis process of what the heck it is that's going wrong with this engine. Alright, so as you saw at the end of the last video, I kind of teased draining the oil. And what we're going to do today is go ahead and take a close look at the oil filter and see if we can find any metal in it. Then we're going to go ahead and drop the bottom of the oil sump to look up in there. So the reason we're doing both of those things is the write-up from the Porsche dealership said that they found metal in the oil and in the oil filter. Also, they said that when they dropped the sump, they saw possible play in the number 4 connecting rod bearing. We're gonna see if we also see those two things today. So let's get right to it. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the Boxster S up in the air. And full transparency, this is my first time looking underneath this car. So let's do a quick inspection together and just take a look at it. All right, starting at the front end of the car and working backwards. So you can see on the inside here, the outer tie rod ends look really good. All of the control arms and linkages look good. This bushing looks like it's in great shape. The sway bar links also are in great shape. I do know that the front suspension and wheel bearings have been replaced somewhat recently, not too terribly long ago. Let's give the front wheel a quick shake here. All right, good, no play. The brakes, the rotors have a bit of lipping on them, but not terrible. You probably can't see this, but the pads are they still have a lot of life left in them. Of course, we'll be able to see that better once we take all of the wheels off. Looking at the right front, doing the same thing. Okay, again, no play in the right front tie rod end or inner tie rod end or steering rack. Brake pads, again, have a good amount of life left in them. Rotor is showing some lipping, but not terrible, so it has a lot of life left in it. Also, the brakes aren't warped at all, so that's good. All right, well, we might as well just work all the way back because obviously the 987 has so many undercovers and is basically completely covered, but looks very clean. There's no drips or anything weird. I see, great. I see right away we are missing this undercover that normally goes right here forward. I don't love that, but it is what it is. We have a bit of an oil leak apparently coming from either this valve cover area or from this scavenge pump. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. These exhaust manifolds are super cool. I don't remember my Cayman having those. Actually, I know for a fact my Cayman didn't have those exhaust manifolds. What the heck? Why'd they put those on the Boxster? Those are dope. Drive shafts look good. Actually, I know those are new as well. They were replaced not too terribly long ago, so they should have no issues. Man, look how clean those are. Yeah, they're definitely nice. So no obvious oil leaks other than that scavenge pump leak is a little moist on that side. Sorry for saying the word moist. No coolant leaks. Looking up in there, looks like we have a minor leak here from the valve cover, the very end. It could also be that those green caps, which, yep, there it is. You can see that green cap. Those cam caps tend to maybe leak a little bit. Transmission is very dry, no issues here. Yeah, overall, this looks really good. So we can check out the rear control arms and linkages real quick. All that looks good. Nothing, no torn boots, no leaking fluids. I think the rear suspension was done too, but I need to go check the receipts. Brand new tires. These date codes are 3320, so these tires are a few years old now, or coming up on a few years old, but they still have a ton of life left in them. They're basically all brand new. No play in that rear wheel, which is good. Let's go check the right rear wheel. Solid there as well. That brake's not dragging. Exhaust looks good. Well, yeah, like I said, the guy kept up on it really well. It's in good shape, as we can see. Now it is time to go ahead and drop our drain plug and see what we're working with. We'll take out the filter as well. One thing I forgot to point out, it does look like we maybe have a rear main seal leak, but that's to be expected. It's a common failure seal on these. Hold up, by the way, quick rant about the rear main seal. Why does everyone act like the rear main seal, they like lump it in with the IMS. They're like IMS and RMS. Dude, the rear main seal is a seal. Yes, the transmission has to come out for it, but it's a seal. Stop freaking out and acting like that issue is a catastrophic issue. People are like, IMS and RMS. Dude, so many cars have failing RMSs. Stop freaking out about the RMS. That is not unique to this engine, and stop making it seem like it is. All right, rant concluded, rant concluded. Okay, with that rant concluded, it is now time to drop the oil out of this car. Now you can see right away, I should have mentioned this during the little inspection, you can see this fresh RTV. That is a result of Porsche actually truly doing what they said and pulling off the sump cover to look up in the engine and inspect. All right, now if you've never taken the oil out of one of these engines, there's a lot of oil and it comes out quickly. So just keep that in mind. Ready? There, case in point, a lot of oil. Yeah, so had a moment there, almost forgot to take our oil sample, which will be very integral to this entire process, is figuring out exactly what the metal numbers are looking like for this engine oil. I'm not sponsored at all, but if you've never heard of Blackstone Oil Analysis, these guys are amazing. Go check out their website. I think it's like $38 or $40 to do a sample. I do it every single time I do an oil change, just to be able to keep track of metal numbers within the oil, making sure that everything is still staying within, first of all, its normal tolerance, and that no metals are like spiking up from change to change, which would obviously indicate potentially that an engine is having an issue internally. So it's a great way to just keep a bead on the health of your engine. And also it's great for resale. If you ever go to sell your car, you can say, hey, I've done 8 oil changes in the life of this car that I've owned it, and here are the numbers staying very consistent. So anyway, check them out. It's nice to have that kind of data if you're a data-driven person like myself. Okay, now as that continues to just kind of drain out, in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and take the filter down. We've got our filter adapter, a special Porsche tool to be able to take these filters off, and I will go ahead and spin that off now. Okay, now got a little bit of a clean room situation set up here. It is time to inspect the oil filter and the oil filter housing. Now, I did leave a tiny bit of oil in the bottom of the housing, so we can kind of inspect that together. By the way, we are doing this together. I have not done this ahead of time in any way. Obviously, you can see the oil filter is very much still intact, and we will cut it open together right now and see what lies inside of it. Now, obviously, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on inside of this. The lighting is not the greatest. I can tell that there's not really much of anything going on. I'm gonna go ahead and pour out the very bottom of this. Look at this oil together so we can see inside there better, for one. And as you can see, there is actually nothing in there. That's an air, there's like something right there. That's an air bubble, I believe. Yep, confirmed. That is an air bubble. So that is nothing. And you can see here, no debris. There was nothing on that. So that's a good sign. Obviously, checking this is just like, if we see any metal debris in the bottom of that, then we know that when we open this up, it's gonna be bad news. But let's go ahead and just see what we see. If you've never done this, basically, yeah, just take a razor and slice it. And this is the dirty side of the oil filter. So this is the side that the oil comes in contact first, and then this is the clean side, so we don't expect to see any debris on that side. But let's go through and see what we find. So, oh, by the way, this was about 500 miles from the time that the Porsche dealership had a look at it and took the drain pan off to now. So obviously they did an oil change at the time. So not too many miles. Obviously there'd be way more oil or more mileage on the oil typically. But in this case, if there was a serious issue, we would obviously see metal from that serious issue showing in the oil filter even after 500 miles. So, which is why it's valid to be able to do an oil analysis as well. So going through these, you can see we don't see anything, nothing weird. There's a little, I mean, you should always expect to see something. This is an engine. There's a reason that the oil filter exists. There's a little bit of silicone here, what looks to be silicone. Yeah, that looks like, I don't know if you can see that. Whoops, I'm not even holding it in front of the camera. A little bit of silicone there. And also going to put that off to the side. Another piece of what looks like either timing chain guide or silicone. Yeah, so see, here's kind of a piece of, this is silicone of some kind. It's very flexy and rubbery. So I'll put that there. Cruising on through here. There's a couple pieces here. One right here and one right here. It looks kind of like that's timing chain guide material. Oh, here's more silicone, so that's a pretty large piece of something, question mark. But granted, keep in mind, they did take the oil pan off, right? So the old silicone, the old RTV that held the oil pan on would have been loosened up at the time. And then, you know, they probably cleaned it, but they could only clean it so much. There were probably inevitably some pieces that got stuck under like the oil pan baffle or whatever, which then made its way up into the oil pickup. So I'm not surprised to see little pieces of silicone like that. Ooh. So that's a little bit concerning. Not sure what this is, but again, we'll check to see if it's ferrous in a moment here. So just a few kind of question marks here, really. For the most part, I'm only seeing silicone. And like I said, I gave my reason why that silicone would be there. So now I have my magnet here. We can check to see if this is any kind of like bearing material, then this would be magnetic. Okay, so this is not bearing material. I don't know what this is, but it doesn't. Oh, it's soft. So it's actually, it looks like it's a piece of a Brillo pad. So very likely what this is what they used to clean the old gasket material off around the flange of the sump when they were going to put it back up into the car. So that is not metal, thank the Lord. Let's go back to these other two pieces that we found and see if those are ferrous. Okay, here's one. Nope, that is not ferrous. Ferrous meaning from iron, which means it would be magnetic. So, good news, okay. We've looked through, oh, there was one more little piece I wanted to check. Let's see if this is ferrous. And survey says not magnetic. So, all of this, my guess, is debris from when they dropped the oil pan. And inherently, when you're opening the engine like that and you know there's old gasket material and you have to remove that old gasket material then put on new gasket material because it's not a gasket, it's this stuff, it's Loctite 5900, which you have to shoot new gasket material on in place. From just having the sump open, you know, inherently you're going to maybe introduce some material. This is a relief. This is a very big relief. I've not seen anything concerning, you know, and they said that there was wiggle in a conrod bearing and that they saw metal in the oil. I'm seeing no metal in the oil. We've looked at every single piece in this oil filter. It was all probably remnants of the job they did to inspect the rotating assembly. The next step is going to be dropping the sump to actually look at what they were looking at, to inspect and see whether or not we see that same amount of play in the number 4 conrod. All right, so we knocked out the oil filter analysis, which is a big step. Obviously, we saw that nothing indicates that there's any level of metal coming through this engine right now, which is fantastic step 1. To take this a step further, before officially taking the engine out, I just want to go ahead and drop the sump, the bottom of the sump. Okay, so we got the sump down. It is now sitting on my oil pan, but you can see, at least initially, no sign of metal, which is very good. Don't worry about my very dirty oil pan. That's what that it's sitting on. So anyway, that's that. Looking up in here, here's the bottom of the sump. This does have the old style M96 oil return air oil separators, as you can see. So our issue will be up in there. You can see that we can kind of see some of the rotating assembly. Cylinder 4 is the left-hand frontmost cylinder on these because of the way it's oriented for the Caymans and Boxsters. Of course, for 911, that's flipped, and cylinder 4 is the right rear cylinder. But anyway, obviously we only have so much room. We can really only get access to, you know, these middle couple cylinders here. I don't know how in the world the Porsche dealership would have been able to look up in there, feel it, and feel that there is play. So here's where we're at. We didn't find any metal in the oil filter, and we couldn't directly be in contact or get ourselves in contact with the cylinder number 4 connecting rod bearing. So at this point, we just need to go ahead and take out the engine, because that's what we're planning to do anyway, to do all sorts of other mechanical updates while we're in there. And then we can be able to further assess and further diagnose what exactly is going on with this engine and see if we're actually having the very serious issue that the dealership is claiming. So with that, let's go ahead and get this puppy out of the car.
Many minutes later.
My friends, I give you the beautiful M96.22 3.2 liter flat 6. We have just successfully gotten it out of the car, as you just saw a second ago. And yeah, look, got a little bit more room to work up in there now, huh? Not bad. So anyway, yeah, as you can see, geez, I'm quite sweaty again. The good news is that now we can begin really getting into the meat of the work. As I've kind of alluded to in the past, we're gonna go ahead and refresh a lot of things mechanically on this engine to get it really nice and cherry for the next owner. Plus, we will be separating the engine and transmission to do clutch, pressure plate, flywheel, the works. Slave cylinder as well. The slave cylinder is obviously still in the car, but yeah, we're not putting the original slave cylinder back in it. But anyway, I'm very happy that we got the engine out of this puppy. Now we can go ahead and actually start getting to real work. So, if you liked this content, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It really helps out my channel a lot. And subscribe if you want to see more of this in the near future. In the next episode, we're really going to start diving into this thing. We'll give it a good look over and just see the condition of just everything. And I'll kind of walk through item by item with you guys and just show you exactly what we're working with here. And then we'll actually start taking stuff apart and getting into it. I'm excited to see what the engine looks like underneath these valve covers. Alrighty, well, we're gonna call it there. Thanks so much again for tuning in to Funhead TV, and I will see you all in the next episode.